Hello, I'm Oded Grober.
And I'm Shahar Peled.
The Academy Awards are about to begin, and before the winners take the stage, we've put together an Oscar special for you.
You mean a pre-Oscar special?
Of course, a pre-Oscar special.
Well, joining us in the studio today is Yonatan Reguer, the culture editor from Israel's Channel 2 News.
And Jonathan Gal, a film critic from Israel's Channel 10. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi. It's an honor sitting here with two gentlemen. A dream come true.
It is.
So we've got a lot to talk about, and to help us get started, we've put together this quick Oscar recap. Let's have a look.
The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences 25th Annual Academy Award.
In its first year, in 1927, the Academy consisted of 36 motion picture heavyweights. But since its humble beginnings, the Academy and its award show has become the most glamorous and watched event in Hollywood.
I really understand I'll never be up here again.
Every year, the Oscars promises new, memorable moments. As to who will win Best Picture this year, 12 Years a Slave is still a favourite, but film critics are divided.
Any year in which you've got a drama about slavery up against a film set in outer space, those are all great movies. The reason you're not surprised is because they're great movies and you kind of expect them, therefore, to be up for Best Film. But it's not a predictable year by any means.
With 2013 proving to be a consistently impressive array of great cinema, we'll find out the winners very soon when Ellen DeGeneres hosts the 86th Annual Academy Awards, live from Hollywood's Dolby Theatre.
So, 2013, great year in cinema. What were your favourite films of this year?
First of all, I have to say that it's probably the best year in cinema in 3 decades, maybe. When you have the top directors coming out with films, Alexander Payne, Spike Jonze, Scorsese, David O. Russell, Alfonso Cuarón, all in the same year, the Coen brothers that didn't get in. I'll say that my favorite film of the year, by far the most fun film in 20 years, maybe again, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Scorsese, DiCaprio. It's shocking that they made a mainstream film like this with 500 uses of the F word. I mean, it's shocking that DiCaprio produced this. I loved it. I thought it was thrilling, exhilarating. Frances Ha on the other side. One of my favorite films. Noah Baumbach, Greta Gerwig. Great little story.
Similar. So
Yes.
similar to each other.
What about you?
I totally disagree. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Of course.
My favorite film of the year was Gravity. That's the only one I would want to see twice on a big IMAX 3D screen with satellite debris, into my face.
Yeah.
Gravity was the most fun, most impressive picture for me. And I think it's going to win big at the Oscars.
Really?
I agree that it was the most cinematic film of the year by far.
Plot.
By
Where
the
is
way, I
plot?
completely disagree with him.
And it was short. It was like 88 minutes long, which is great. Why do we need a 2.5-hour movie?
With drugs,
Well, come on.
sex, drugs.
There can be too much of a good thing, Yonatan.
You know you're wrong.
Yeah.
What about performances? What performances struck you?
Cate Blanchett, possibly the greatest performance we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Period. In Blue Jasmine,
Of course.
I thought it was unbelievable. And DiCaprio, which
You think it was that good?
I thought it was incredible. I thought it was, with all the drugs and the sex, and I thought it was a personal film by Scorsese and DiCaprio making a film about how money corrupts your soul. And let's remember, Scorsese and DiCaprio are filthy rich. They made a satire about themselves.
But will it help him, Leo? Will this...
Will not help him.
No, a chance.
DiCaprio,
Unfortunately
fourth
not.
time nominated, and I thought it was his best role since What's Eating Gilbert Grape and Basketball
A while
Diaries,
ago.
and he was great when he was young.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
He was great, and it's the fourth time he's nominated. I think he'll be like Scorsese, that only won after 7 times.
DiCaprio was great. The 4 principal actors in American Hustle were great. But for me, Matthew McConaughey, with his shirt on, surprisingly, he usually takes his shirt off.
Well, the
This
way he
time,
looks nowadays, I'm not sure you want to see him with his shirt
Oh,
on.
that's true.
we can have a shirt off, bring him here to the studio and see. But McConaughey is an actor that I've enjoyed for a long time. I think he's a really cool dude, and it's great to see him get that role
Yeah,
that
I
puts him in the Oscar, and that's another prediction of mine. I think he'll win an Oscar.
All right.
Sadly, I agree with him.
Let's talk hosts. This is Ellen's second time hosting the Oscars. The first time was in 2007 when she got mainly favorable reviews.
Yes, after her Oscar debut, the New York Times wrote about her that she brought a casual Friday mood to fancy Sunday. Let's take a quick look.
Jennifer Hudson here tonight, and look at that. I tell you, Jennifer Hudson was on American Idol. America didn't vote for her, and yet she's here with an Oscar nomination. That's amazing. That's incredible. And then Al Gore is here. America did vote for him, and then
So I gotta say, I feel that she's a bit of a safe choice, but what do you think, Jonah?
She's so boring. Boring.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
I like her.
That's what I think.
Is she going to dance, though? I think that's a key
She
question.
dances up and down the
She'll
aisle.
probably dance.
I love it when Hollywood goes controversial. When they go with Seth MacFarlane, who has the greatest song
Rock.
from last year. Remember the song?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone remembers. Yeah,
Right.
you can't forget
I'm
that
not
one.
sure everybody remembers it as favorably as you.
Yes,
I'm
Meryl
sure-
Streep, I'm
did
sure,
you
wasn't really
write
glad
that
about
song?
that.
I co-wrote it. I have residuals. It's okay. I love it when they go controversial. And by the way, last year the ratings were the highest they've been in 4 years for the Oscars. Ellen did it once. It was boring once. You need Oscar buzz. Oscar buzz is talking about the host afterwards.
Right.
Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes, everyone talks about it. Seth MacFarlane, everyone talked about it.
Well,
I
Jonathan,
agree.
any favorite hosts?
Listen, favorite host
Yeah.
from the past. I loved all the Billy Crystal when
Yeah.
he did the videos.
The early
Oh,
ones.
he's a classic.
When he does the videos when he puts himself in the movies.
That was really great. Steve Martin, I thought, wasn't that bad. They didn't. It didn't.
Listen,
We've had worse,
The
let's
greatest
say.
Oscar show ever. I mean, we rerun it is James Franco and Hammer. I mean, when you're drunk, you have to see that.
When you're drunk, absolutely.
Now, the Oscar is not what it used to be. The brand of the Oscar is declining and the ratings are declining. Do you think the Oscar is still relevant these days?
I think they're relevant. I'll say two things. One, as a kid, I adored the Oscars till the moment Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan. I mean, is that possible?
So the Weinsteins ruined the Oscars for
Yeah, and let's be honest here. We've had flukes before. I mean, Raging Bull lost to Ordinary People.
Yeah.
Ordinary People. Who knows what that film is even about?
A Beautiful Mind over Straight Story and David Lynch. That was horrible for me too.
That
Ron
was also-
Howard over David Lynch and Robert Altman.
But I'll say, I mean, in the last
Rocky over Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver wasn't even nominated. Wasn't even nominated.
But
Unbelievable.
Rocky was a
But
great
let's talk box office. This year, only Gravity is one of the 10 grossing films in the
that's
box
a really good
office.
point.
So
If you
no
look-
connection between box office and Academy Awards?
No, we barely watch dramas at the theater anymore. People go to see big event superhero comic book movies. Those are the movies bringing in the numbers. If you look at the list of nominees, these are all smaller dramas that we...
Yeah, but let's be honest. I mean, 12 Years of Slave is a $15-20 million budget that made $130 million because of the Oscar race, not the Oscar.
Right.
The race is 3 months, the award season. It would never make that money. I mean, the Hurt Locker that shockingly beat Avatar. I mean, it's incredible that
But
it
even
won.
those bumps, they call it the Oscar bump, when a movie makes more money, that's gotten smaller and smaller every year.
But still, I mean, the King's Speech made
but
$300 million.
does
It
the-
would never make that
Does
kind
the
of
Golden
money.
Globes have a chance to eclipse the Oscars in the future?
The
do you
Golden
think?
Globes is a much more fun event.
More
They
fun.
have much more...
Ricky Gervais.
Tina
Tina Fey.
Yeah,
Maybe,
and an
yeah.
open
That's
bar.
a fun
And an open bar.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all drunk there.
The Oscars are a little old. They're
Yeah.
a little old and they're a little...
But numbers-wise, the Golden Globes will never eclipse it. It's the stepbrother. And even with the highest ratings this year, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, it's 20 million viewers. The Oscars last year, 40 million.
Right.
There's no
Absolutely
comparison.
right. No argument. Despite the decline of the Oscars, the world is still fascinated by the award show.
1956 was the first year the Academy gave a foreign language film Oscar. While the Foreign Film Award is always given to the film's director, the celebrations extend to the whole country. Italy has celebrated the most, with over 10 awards won over the years, and probably an additional one this year.
Very likely. In recent years, Middle Eastern films have received more Oscar recognition. Israel is the country to receive the most nominations without winning an actual award. Before we discuss the politics of the Academy, here's a retrospective of Israeli and Palestinian cinema at the Oscars.
Israel has an impressive history at the Oscars as one of the top 10 most nominated countries of all time. The first Oscar nominee was celebrated actor Chaim Topol, playing Salah Shebati, a Yemenite Jewish immigrant who arrives with his family to Israel, only to find himself settled in a transit camp. Created by Ephraim Kishon, the master of Israeli satire, the film used humor to criticize the social atmosphere of Israel at the time. Moving away from the lightheartedness of earlier nominees, 1973's The House on Shlush Street saw a family of Egyptian immigrants settle in pre-state Tel Aviv. As time passed, politics began to take a center stage in Israeli cinema. The 1984 Barabash brothers film, Beyond the Walls, tells the story of a high-security block of an Israeli prison and the segregation between Jewish and Palestinian inmates. 20 years later, the powerful war film Beaufort by Yossi Sider focused on an Israeli army unit at the Beaufort Castle in southern Lebanon. A year later, Ari Folman's animated feature, Waltz with Bashir. Exploring his memories from the First Lebanon War, the film had a profound impact for its unique visual style and anti-war message. Completing a 3-year streak, Ajami, an Arab-Jewish collaboration between Skandar Kopti and Yaron Shani, tells 5 different stories from the impoverished Christian and Muslim Arab neighborhood in Tel Aviv, Jaffa. In 2011, Yosef Sider made it to the Oscars again with his film Footnote. And last year, Palestinian and Israeli films were both shortlisted for Best Documentary. The Gatekeepers, featuring candid interviews with retired Israeli spy masters, and 5 Broken Cameras, which looks behind the lens of an amateur Palestinian cameraman in the West Bank. Palestinian cinema made its debut at the Oscars in 2005 with Hani Abu Assad's film Paradise Now. This year, Abu Assad has been nominated again, this time for Omar, a thriller and a love story. After half a century of near misses, neither Israeli nor Palestinian filmmakers have brought home an Academy Award. The unpredictable reality of the region provides endless material for great cinema, and many are hoping it will finally produce an Oscar.
Well, can Israeli or Palestinian films really win?
No. Absolutely not.
How come?
I like it that we break records. We've been nominated 10 times, Israel, never won. And if Waltz with Bashir, by far the best film of that year, totally, I mean, out of all the films, did not win, I don't think we'll ever win. The only chance of Israel or the Palestinians winning an Oscar is...
Make a movie together.
A, you're right, okay. And B, the minute we sign a peace agreement. When there's a peace agreement, Israel wins that year.
Right. I think it's much simpler than that. It's a committee selecting these movies, and anything can happen. I mean, on the day, they'll watch a movie.
We've been nominated. Waltz with Bashir was nominated.
You think it's something personal against you?
No, I don't think it's something personal. I think, 200 people vote on it. It's all the people who see the foreign films and no one wants to see the foreign films. Yeah, it's 10%.
Okay.
Most of them Jews, they don't want to be too pro-Israel, they don't want to be too pro-Palestinian. The moment we sign a peace agreement, we'll win.
But let's take a look this year. We've got Bethlehem from the Israeli side and Omar from the Palestinians.
Right.
How come Omar is there and Bethlehem is not? And they're both pretty similar in the subject.
They're very similar. They follow a very similar plot. I thought Bethlehem was a much better film, much more entertaining, much more suspenseful, better performances. But I think when you're telling an underdog story, it's much easier for them to relate to from the underdog perspective. I think that's what happened this year.
I also think in the last 6 years, let's be honest. I mean, Israel has been nominated almost every year.
Yeah, I think 4 times in the last 6 years.
Yeah, and it's unheard of.
Yeah.
And I mean, when there's a good Palestinian film, go for it.
It will be hard to send a film that has better chances than Waltz with Bashir, though.
I don't see it happening until we sign a peace agreement.
So what, it's all politics? Everything is political?
It's not all, but it's most of it, yeah.
I don't think so. I think if there's a good movie and there's they're not other
You didn't
better
think Waltz
movies.
with Bashir should have won?
It was good, but it's a subjective choice. There are these people. They watch the movies. They decided this one was better than that one.
If it was against a separation, which Footnote lost to the following year, I think, then it's a close call. But Waltz with Bashir on the year that it was,
You didn't
I
like
think
the
it was a Japanese film.
the dead people?
No.
No one liked
It
it.
was very
That
touching.
was-
No one
He was
liked
playing
it.
the cello in the field.
Oh, that was awful.
Unfortunately,
And
and I'm
once
trying not to be
won
biased.
the Golden Globes, all the critics said this
I
is the
think a
favorite
lot
film.
of people didn't understand Waltz with Bashir with the animation.
I completely disagree with you.
All right, unfortunately,
This
that's
guy.
all we have time for in our first half, but stay tuned for just after the news flash.
We'll be hosting acclaimed Israeli actor Shlomo Baraba, who starred in the Oscar-nominated Footnote.
And Yonatan and Jonathan will give us their Oscar predictions.
See you after the break. We'll be right back.